The conference room was silent as Commander Dahan walked through the massive doors. He had seen many things in his military career, but nothing prepared him for this moment. Above him, 12 enormous holographic figures floated in the air. Each one represented a different alien species from across the galaxy. Their eyes, some with 3 or 4 of them, watched him carefully as he took his seat. Dahan was not alone. Dr. Rena Kang sat to his right, her hands folded on the table. She was Earth's brightest scientist, and her calm face showed no fear. To his left sat Ambassador Young Park, a man who had spent 30 years in diplomatic service. Behind them stood Captain Jin Lee, the youngest fleet commander in Earth's history, and engineer Hai Choi, whose inventions had changed space travel forever. The largest hologram spoke first. Its voice was deep and seemed to come from everywhere at once. Humans of Earth, we are the Galactic Council. We have watched your species for many years. You have finally achieved faster-than-light travel. This means you are now part of the galactic community. Dahan nodded slowly. We are honored by this contact. Earth has long dreamed of meeting other intelligent life. Earth, another hologram, this one with blue skin and silver eyes, leaned forward. Your honor is noted. However, we have concerns. Your species has a violent history. In the past 500 years, you have fought over 300 major wars. You have created weapons capable of destroying your own planet. This is unacceptable. Dr. Rena Kang spoke up, her voice steady. With respect, we have also created art, music, and science. We have overcome diseases. We have learned to work together despite our differences. That may be true, said a third alien, whose skin seemed to glow with a soft green light. But the Council has rules. All new species must prove they are peaceful. You must sign the Technological Limitation Treaty. Ambassador Young Park pulled up the document on his tablet. His eyes moved quickly across the screen, reading the terms. This treaty requires us to destroy 80% of our military fleet. It limits our technology to levels below what we currently have. It places Council observers in our government buildings. These are standard terms, the first alien said. Every species in the Council has agreed to similar conditions. How many species are in the Council? Dahan asked. 12, including the founding members. And how many species have you contacted in your history? There was a pause. The aliens looked at each other. Finally, one answered. 47. The math was simple. Dahan felt his jaw tighten. What happened to the other 35 species? Another long silence filled the room. Dr. Rena Kang was already typing on her computer, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She had hacked into the Council's open data network during the meeting. What she found made her blood run cold. Records of conquered worlds, species that had refused the treaty and were destroyed. Others that had signed and slowly disappeared, absorbed into Council member civilizations. She slid her tablet to Dahan. He read quickly, his face showing no emotion. But inside, anger burned hot. We need time to consider this treaty, Young Park said, trying to keep his voice diplomatic. Of course, the glowing green alien said. You have 30 standard galactic days. That is approximately 32 Earth days. We will return for your answer. And if we refuse? Captain Jin Lee asked from behind them. The blue-skinned alien's face showed something like a smile. No species has ever refused. We trust you will be wise. The holograms vanished. The room suddenly felt very empty and very cold. Engineer Hai Choi was the first to speak. They're going to attack us if we say no. Yes, Dahan agreed. This isn't a treaty. It's a surrender demand with fancy words. Dr. Rena Kang turned her tablet around so everyone could see. I found records of a species called the Venkari. They achieved FTL travel 200 years ago. They refused the treaty. The Council sent a war fleet. The Venkari homeworld is now a dead planet, covered in ice. Young Park stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth hung in space, beautiful and blue. We could sign. Survival is what matters. Survival is what? Dehan asked. As slaves? As pets? I've read the full treaty now. Within 3 generations, Earth wouldn't be ours anymore. They would control our economy, our military, our very way of life. So we fight, Jin Li said. It wasn't a question. Against 12 advanced alien civilizations? Young Park shook his head. That's suicide. HFY pulled up her own data. Maybe not. I've been scanning their technology during this meeting. Their ships are powerful, yes. But they're old. Very old. The Council hasn't fought a real war in over 1,000 years. They've only fought weak, newly spacefaring species. And we're a newly spacefaring species, Young Park pointed out. But we're not weak, Rina Kang said softly. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know war. We know it in ways they've forgotten. Dehan stood and looked at each person in the room. I will not make this decision alone. This affects all of humanity. We need to take this to the World Council. 3 days later, every nation on Earth sent representatives to the emergency session. The debate was fierce. Some argued for peace at any cost. Others wanted to fight. The arguments went on for hours, then days. Finally, after 2 weeks, a vote was called. The result was close, but clear. Earth would not sign the treaty. Dehan was given full authority to prepare Earth's defense. He immediately contacted every military leader on the planet. Rina Kang gathered the greatest scientists. HFY began working on new weapons. Jin Li started training crews for combat in space. They had 16 days left. Across the galaxy, in a massive station orbiting a dying star, the Galactic Council received Earth's preliminary response. The humans wanted more time to study the treaty. The Council agreed, certain that the humans were simply trying to find the best way to surrender. They had no idea that Earth was preparing for war. On the final day, Dehan sent the official response. It was simple and direct. Just 2 words that would change the galaxy forever. We refuse. The message reached the Council within hours. The reaction was immediate and furious. No one had ever said no. No one had ever dared. War Prime Thexian, the Council's greatest military commander, was pulled from retirement. He had conquered 40 worlds in his long life. He had never been defeated, never even been challenged. He looked at the report on humanity with something like amusement. They have 75 military spacecraft, he read aloud. We will bring 300. This will be over in days. His aide, a younger officer, asked a question. Sir. Their response was very bold. Should we be concerned? Thexian laughed, a sound like grinding metal. Concerned? About a species that just learned to travel between stars? No. We will teach them the price of defiance. The galaxy will remember what happens when you refuse the Council. He began assembling the largest war fleet the Council had used in centuries. 300 ships, each one massive and powerful. Weapons that could destroy cities from orbit. Shields that could withstand nuclear explosions. It should have been enough. Against any other species, it would have been more than enough. But Thexian had never fought humans before. He didn't understand what made them different. He didn't know that humans had one quality that terrified the universe once it was unleashed. Humans were relentless. The fleet began its journey to Earth. The war was coming, and neither side knew how much the galaxy was about to change. The alarm started exactly 32 days after Earth sent its refusal. Captain Jin Li sat in the command chair of the battleship Indomitable, watching his screens fill with red warning signals. 300 massive shapes appeared at the edge of the solar system, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. All ships, battle stations, Jin Li ordered. His voice was calm, but his heart was racing. They had prepared for this. But seeing the enemy fleet in person was different. Each council ship was enormous, some of them larger than Earth's biggest cities. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky. In bunkers deep underground, families held each other. In military bases, soldiers checked their weapons one last time. Everyone knew what was coming. Commander Dahan stood in the war room beneath the Pacific Ocean, surrounded by screens and officers. "Status report," he said. "All 75 ships are in position," reported Admiral Quan Seo. "Orbital defense platforms are active. Ground-based weapons are ready." Dr. Rena Kang looked up from her computer. "I'm reading their energy signatures. The flagship is in the center. That's where their commander will be." 8. Thexian, Dahan said quietly. He had studied the aliens' record. 40 victories. Never defeated. Let's see if we can change that. In space, the Council fleet moved forward slowly. They were in no hurry. On the flagship, War Prime Thexian watched Earth getting closer on his view screen. It was a beautiful planet, he thought. Blue and green, covered with clouds. It would look less beautiful when he was done. "Open a channel to the human fleet," Thexian ordered. Jin Li's screen flickered, and the alien appeared. He was tall and covered in dark red scales. 4 yellow eyes studied the human captain with curiosity. "I am War Prime Thexian," the alien said. "You are Captain Jin Li of Earth. I have read your file. You are young and inexperienced. You have never fought in real combat. I almost pity you." 1. "Keep your pity," Jin Li replied. "You'll need it for yourself soon." Thexian's eyes widened slightly. He was not used to such responses. "Brave words. Very well. This is your final chance. Surrender now, and your people will be allowed to live under Council rule. Refuse, and we will destroy every ship, every station, every military installation on your world." Jin Li looked at the alien commander for a long moment. Then he smiled. "Thexian, you've fought 40 species, but you've never fought us. You're about to learn why that matters." He closed the channel. Thexian stared at the blank screen. Then he turned to his officers. "All ships, advance. Destroy their fleet. Show no mercy." The Council ships surged forward, their weapons charging with deadly energy. Beams of pure light shot across space, each one powerful enough to cut a ship in half. But the Earth ships were already moving. Jin Li had studied every record of Council tactics. They fought in straight lines, using overwhelming firepower. They expected their enemies to do the same. "All ships, scatter pattern Delta," Jin Li ordered. "Use the asteroids." The Earth fleet broke apart, ships diving in different directions. The Council's first attack missed most of them, hitting only empty space. The human ships raced into the asteroid belt, weaving between giant rocks at speeds that made the alien crews dizzy just watching. "What are they doing?" Thexian demanded. "This is chaos. There's no formation, no discipline." His tactical officer looked confused. "Sir, they're using the asteroids as cover. Our sensors can't lock on properly." "Then go into the belt and destroy them," Thexian ordered. The Council ships followed, but they were too big and too slow. They had to move carefully to avoid the asteroids. The human ships were smaller and faster. They appeared from behind rocks, fired their weapons, and disappeared again before the Council could respond. Engineer He Choi had worked miracles in 30 days. Every Earth ship now carried weapons based on reversed Council technology, but modified with human creativity. The missiles were smaller, but smarter. The energy weapons were less powerful but recharged faster. And every ship had something the Council had never encountered: nuclear mines. The first Council ship to enter the asteroid belt hit 3 mines in quick succession. The explosions ripped through its shields and tore holes in its hull. Air rushed out into space. The ship tried to retreat but was hit by coordinated fire from 4 Earth vessels. It exploded in a brilliant flash. "First kill confirmed," reported pilot Tae Min, his fighter weaving through the debris. "The big ones can't turn fast in here. They're sitting ducks." But the Council had numbers. For every one of their ships destroyed, they damaged 3 Earth vessels. The battle raged for hours. Ships burned and died on both sides. Space filled with wreckage. On Earth, Daehan watched the battle with clenched fists. They were doing better than anyone had hoped, but they were still losing. The math was simple. At this rate, the Council would win through sheer numbers. "We need to change the game," he said. "Rena, is the special weapon ready?" Dr. Kang nodded. "It's ready." "But Day, we've never tested it at full power. It could destroy our own ships too." "Send the signal. All Earth ships pull back to the outer belt. Now." Jin Lee received the order and didn't question it. "All ships, fall back. Full speed. Get clear of the inner belt." The Earth fleet retreated, and the Council ships pursued, thinking the humans were running. Thexian smiled. "They break. All ships, forward. Don't let them escape." The Council fleet moved deeper into the asteroid belt, chasing the fleeing Earth ships. They didn't notice the small devices attached to dozens of asteroids around them, devices built by HFY's team, each one containing a compact fusion reactor. "All Earth ships clear," reported Admiral Kwanzio. Daehan took a deep breath. "Detonate." The asteroid belt exploded. Not all of it, but enough. 50 fusion devices went off simultaneously, each one with the power of a small sun. The explosions shattered asteroids, sending millions of rock fragments flying in all directions at incredible speeds. The Council ships were caught in a deadly storm of stone and fire. Their shields held against the first impacts, then the second. But there were thousands of impacts. Hundreds of thousands. The shields flickered and failed. Rocks the size of buildings smashed into hull plates. Smaller fragments tore through corridors and compartments. 15 Council ships were destroyed in the first minute. 20 more were badly damaged. The rest tried to retreat. But the debris field was everywhere now, moving in chaotic patterns. They had to move slowly and carefully. The Earth fleet turned around and attacked again. The damaged Council ships were vulnerable now, their shields weak or gone. Earth's weapons, less powerful but faster firing, began to take a terrible toll. Thexian watched in disbelief as his fleet fell apart around him. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. This wasn't honorable combat. This was chaos and madness. "All ships, retreat," he finally ordered. "Pull back to the outer system. Reform." Oat. The Council fleet limped away, leaving behind 50 destroyed ships and over 300,000 dead crew members. The Earth fleet was battered too. 20 ships were destroyed, 15 more, barely functional, but they had won. On Earth, people poured into the streets, crying and celebrating. They had faced the greatest military power in the galaxy and survived. In the war room, Daehan allowed himself a small smile. But he knew this was just the beginning. Thexian would be back, and next time, he would be ready for their tricks. Jin Lee brought his ship back to Earth orbit and looked at the planet below. They had won one battle. But the war was far from over. In his damaged flagship, Thexian stared at the reports. He had lost 1/6 of his fleet in a single day. Lost to primitives who had barely learned to leave their own planet. For the first time in his long military career, War Prime Thexian felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so loud. Holographic representatives from 12 species shouted over each other, their anger filling the ancient hall. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Na Song, the human representative, her face calm despite the chaos around her. "Order," demanded the council leader, his voice booming. "We will have order." The shouting gradually stopped. One by one, the alien representatives turned their attention to Na Song. She stood alone in the center of the chamber, a single human surrounded by beings who ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Ambassador Na Song, the blue-skinned representative began, his voice cold with fury. Your species has committed war crimes. You used unconventional tactics. You turned the asteroid belt into a weapon. 50 ships were destroyed. 300,000 council citizens are dead. Na Song looked around the chamber, meeting each alien's gaze without flinching. You attacked us. You came to our home with 300 warships and demanded we surrender or die. We defended ourselves. That is not a crime. That is survival. Your methods were dishonorable, another council member said. War has rules. You used trickery and deception. A cold smile crossed Na Song's face. You expected us to line up our ships and let you destroy them politely? You expected us to die with honor so you could conquer us with ease? If that's what you wanted, you understand nothing about humanity. The green glowing representative leaned forward. You are primitives. You should have accepted your place in the galactic order. Our place? Na Song's voice rose slightly. You mean as conquered subjects? As slaves in all but name? I have read your histories. The real histories that you hide from the galaxy. The Venkari didn't die from a disease. You killed them. The Korthon didn't integrate peacefully. You destroyed their culture and absorbed what was left. 35 species contacted, and only 12 remain. You're not peacekeepers. You're conquerors. Dressed in diplomatic robes, the chamber exploded with angry voices again. Several representatives demanded Na Song be removed. Others called for immediate military action against Earth. The council leader raised his hand for silence. Enough. The council has made its decision. We are invoking Total Pacification Protocol. Earth will be made an example. Any species in the future who dares to defy us will remember what happened to humanity. Na Song felt ice in her stomach. Total Pacification Protocol. She had found references to it in the secret files Rena Kang had stolen. It was a weapon so terrible that the Council had banned its use centuries ago. Until now. You're going to use planet killers, she said quietly. We are going to ensure that defiance has consequences, the Council leader replied. You have 7 days to evacuate Earth. After that, we will render your world uninhabitable. Your species may survive, scattered across the galaxy, but you will never have a home again. Na Song was escorted out of the chamber. As soon as she was alone, she sent an encrypted message to Earth. One word. Run. But on Earth, Commander Dahan had no intention of running. They're bringing planet killers, he told the Emergency War Council. Weapons from their ancient arsenal. They'll be here. In 7 days. Admiral Kwanseo slammed his fist on the table. We can't stop weapons like that. Our fleet is already damaged. Half our ships are in repair docks. Then we don't try to stop them, said Dr. Rena Kang quietly. Everyone turned to look at her. We make sure they never get the chance to use them. She pulled up a star map. The planet killers are being brought from storage facilities in the outer council sectors. But to use them, they need authorization codes from the council home worlds. 3 worlds, 3 codes, all needed simultaneously. Strategist Un Bei, a thin woman with sharp eyes, studied the map. You want us to attack their home worlds? That's suicide. Each one has massive defensive fleets. Not attack, Rena Kang said. Threaten. We show them that if Earth dies, their homes die too. Scientist Ho Park, a young man with wild hair and wilder ideas, stood up excitedly. The solar cascade weapon. It's ready. Well, mostly ready. 60% ready. Dahan looked at him. Explain. We can turn a star into a weapon. We fire quantum cascade missiles into a sun, triggering a massive solar flare. The flare can be directed. It would destroy everything in its path for several light years. We've identified 3 council home worlds near unstable stars. We put ships in those systems, ready to trigger cascades, and we tell the council, "Leave Earth alone, or everyone burns." The room went silent. It was a terrible plan. It would kill billions. It would make humanity into exactly the monsters the council claimed they were. "There has to be another way," Admiral Quancio said. "There isn't," Dehan replied. "They're going to destroy our world. We either make them believe we'll retaliate, or we lose everything." Young Park, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "Not everyone on the council supports this war. I've been contacted secretly by 3 council species. They're uncomfortable with total pacification. If we can give them an alternative, a way to end this without mutual destruction, they might support us." "What kind of alternative?" asked Yunbei. "Peace talks, real ones, not demands disguised as negotiations. We offer to share our technology, our innovations, in exchange for being treated as equals instead of subjects." Dehan thought for a long moment. "We do both. We prepare the Cascade weapons and send ships to Council space. At the same time, Young reaches out to the moderate species and offers peace. We show them we're strong enough to destroy them, but wise enough to prefer cooperation." It was decided. Over the next 3 days, 3 small Earth ships, each crewed by volunteers, made the dangerous journey deep into Council space. They carried the Cascade weapons and the will to use them if necessary. Pilot J1 commanded one of the ships. He was young, barely 25, but he was the best pilot Earth had. His ship, the Defiant, dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of a red giant star. On the planet orbiting that star lived 2 billion Council citizens. "We're in position," J1 reported. "Cascade weapon armed and ready." 2 other ships reported similar status from 2 other systems. On Earth, Dehan sent a message directly to the Council leader. The message was simple and terrifying. "You have weapons aimed at our home. We now have weapons aimed at yours. If Earth burns, the galaxy burns with us. Choose wisely." The Council received the message and immediately sent scout ships to investigate. What they found made their blood run cold. 3 human ships, each positioned near a Council homeworld, each carrying enough destructive power to trigger a solar event that would kill billions. The emergency council session was chaos. Some members demanded immediate attack. Others called for caution. A few quietly suggested that maybe, just maybe, they had underestimated humanity. War Prime Thexian was recalled to give his assessment. He stood before the council, his scales darker than before, his eyes haunted. "They mean it," he said simply. "I have fought these humans. They do not bluff. They do not surrender. If you attack Earth, they will destroy 3 council worlds, maybe more. They are willing to die if it means taking us with them." "Then we destroy their ships first," someone suggested. "We've tried," Thexian replied. "Every time we send forces near those systems, the human ships move deeper, closer to the stars. They dare us to chase them. And they have pilots crazy enough to fly into a star if necessary." In the council chamber, 3 moderate species made their move. They proposed an alternative. Negotiate with Earth as equals, not conquerors. Share technology and resources. End the war before it destroyed everyone. The vote was close. Very close. Half the council wanted to proceed with total pacification, regardless of the cost. The other half wanted to find a peaceful solution. In the end, one member changed their vote at the last second, a single vote that saved billions of lives. The council agreed to real negotiations. Na Song received the message and could barely believe it. They had done the impossible. They had forced the ancient Galactic Council to back down. But in his quarters, Thexian looked at reports from his intelligence officers. The human ships in Council space were not the only threat. There were rumors of other human vessels. Smaller ones, moving through Council territory. Doing what? He didn't know. What he did know was that humanity had changed the rules of the game. The galaxy would never be the same. On Earth, people celebrated. The planet killers had been recalled. The war was paused. Peace talks would begin. But Daehan didn't celebrate. He knew this was just a pause, not an ending. The real challenge was still ahead, convincing the galaxy that Earth deserved a seat at the table as equals, not subjects. And if that failed, the Cascade weapons were still in position, waiting. The peace talks lasted exactly 4 hours before they collapsed. Ambassador Young Park sat across from Council representatives in a neutral space station, trying to find common ground. But every proposal Earth made was rejected. Every compromise was met with new demands. It became clear that the Council didn't want peace. They wanted surrender with a different name. You must dismantle your Cascade weapons, the blue-skinned representative insisted. They are a threat to galactic stability. You must dismantle your planet killers first, Young Park countered. They're a threat to our existence. That is different. We are the established authority, and that's the problem, Young Park said quietly. You believe might makes right. You believe age gives you authority. We believe all intelligent species deserve respect and equal treatment. The talks broke down. Both sides returned to their respective territories. The war was back on, but something had changed in the galaxy. The news of Earth's defiance had spread to every council world and beyond. For the first time in thousands of years, species were questioning council authority. If humans could stand up to the council, why couldn't others? 3 council member species made a shocking announcement. They were withdrawing their military forces from the war against Earth. They declared neutrality and called for reformed council policies. One of them, a species called the Mentari, released a public statement. Their leader, a being named Elder Suri, spoke directly to the galaxy. We have studied the humans. We have seen their history. They are a young species, yes. But they are also resilient and creative. They have survived themselves dozens of times. Wars, diseases, natural disasters. Each time they rebuild. Each time they emerge stronger. A civilization that has survived itself will not be easily conquered. Perhaps it is time we learned from them, instead of trying to destroy them. The statement caused earthquakes in galactic politics. If the Council couldn't maintain unity among its own members, how could it claim to represent the galaxy? On Earth, Commander Daehan saw an opportunity. The Council is fracturing. We need to press our advantage. Dr. Rena Kang had been working non-stop on new technology. I've perfected the slip space drive. It's based on Council technology, but improved. We can now jump to any point in the galaxy instantly, without the long charging time their drives need. Show me, Daehan said. Rena pulled up a demonstration. A small probe vanished and reappeared on the other side of the solar system in the blink of an eye. No warning, no energy buildup that sensors could detect. Daehan smiled. We can strike anywhere. Exactly. And they won't know we're coming until we're already there. A new strategy formed. Instead of waiting for the Council to attack Earth, humanity would take the fight to them. Small, fast raids on Council supply lines and military staging areas. Nothing large enough to cause massive casualties, but enough to show the Council they were vulnerable. Pilot J1 led the first raid. His squadron of 12 ships jumped directly into a Council supply depot. They destroyed fuel reserves and weapon stockpiles, then jumped away before the defense fleet could respond. Total time in the system: 8 minutes. The Council was shocked. How had the humans appeared so deep in their territory without warning? More raids followed. Commander Chan Yu, leader of Earth's Special Forces, took a team of soldiers and inserted them on a Council logistics world. They didn't attack civilians. Instead, they hacked into the military network, stole intelligence data, and left a message in the computer system. We could have destroyed this facility. We chose not to. Choose peace. War Prime Thexian found himself fighting a war on multiple fronts. Earth's main fleet defended the solar system, but human raiders appeared everywhere, striking and vanishing like ghosts. He sent ships to hunt them, but the humans always knew where his forces were and avoided them. How are they doing this? He demanded of his intelligence officer. We believe they have spies in our communication network, sir. Every message we send, they seem to intercept. Thexian growled in frustration. The humans were turning all of the Council's advantages against them. Superior numbers didn't matter if you couldn't catch the enemy. Better weapons were useless if the target disappeared before you could fire. Meanwhile, on Earth, civilian leader Su Han worked to keep morale high. The war was taking a toll. Resources were stretched thin. Families had lost loved ones in the fighting. But Su Han reminded people what they were fighting for. We're not fighting for dominance, she said in a broadcast that reached every home on Earth. We're not fighting to conquer anyone. We're fighting for the right to exist as free people, the right to make our own choices, the right to reach for the stars without asking permission. That's worth fighting for. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Her words resonated. Not just with humans, but with citizens of Council worlds who heard the broadcast. On several planets, protests began. Small at first, then growing. People demanding their governments reconsider the war. Asking why they were trying to destroy a species that only wanted freedom. The Council tried to suppress the protests, but that only made them worse. The more they cracked down, the more people questioned their authority. Ambassador Na Song, working behind the scenes, made contact with opposition groups on Council worlds. She provided them with evidence of Council atrocities, records of species destroyed, cultures erased, freedoms removed. The truth that the Council had hidden for centuries. The information spread like fire. Within weeks, 4 more Council species announced they would no longer support the war. They didn't join Earth, but they refused to fight against it. Thexian's fleet, once 300 strong, was now down to less than 200 ships, and many of those were damaged or low on supplies. The raids had cut off key supply lines. The political fracturing meant he couldn't get reinforcements. He requested a meeting with the Council leader. We cannot win this war, he said bluntly. Not anymore. The humans are too mobile, too unpredictable, and our own people are losing faith in the cause. Are you suggesting we surrender to primitives? The Council leader asked, his voice dangerous. I'm suggesting we negotiate from a position of mutual respect, instead of from a position we claim but no longer hold. Every day this war continues, we lose more ships, more credibility, more unity. The Council is fracturing, and humanity is the hammer breaking us apart. The Council leader was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. What do you suggest? Real negotiations. Acknowledge Earth as a sovereign power. Offer them partnership instead of servitude. It's the only way to end this without destroying ourselves. But not everyone on the Council agreed. A faction of hardliners, led by the blue-skinned representative, began planning their own solution. If the Council wouldn't act, they would. They gathered ships loyal to them and prepared for one final, massive assault on Earth. On Earth, sensors detected the new fleet forming. It was smaller than Thexian's original armada, only 150 ships. But these were the most advanced and deadly vessels the Council had. Dae Han called an emergency meeting. They're coming for one last fight. This is it. If we win, the Council breaks completely. If we lose, Earth is finished. Admiral Quan Seo studied the enemy fleet composition. They've learned from their mistakes. No more asteroid belt tactics. They're going to hit Earth orbit directly. Fast and hard. Then we meet them head-on, Captain Jin Lee said. No more hit and run, no more tricks. We stand and fight. Engineer Hei Choi had one more surprise ready. I've been working on something. It's risky, maybe crazy. But if it works, We can even the odds. What is it? Dahan asked. We turn our defensive platforms into offensive weapons. They're designed to protect Earth, but I can modify them to project shields around our ships instead. It'll make our fleet much harder to kill. How long do you need? 3 days. You have 2. Across the galaxy, the neutral council species and the opposition groups watched and waited. The fate of the galaxy was about to be decided in the space around a small, blue planet. War Prime Thexian, still commanding the Loyalist Council forces, received word of the hardliner fleet's plan. He made a decision that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. He sent a secret message to Earth, a warning about the incoming attack and details on the fleet's composition and tactics. When Dahan received it, he stared at the screen in disbelief. Why would he help us? Young Park, reading the full message, found the answer. At the end, Thexian had written, I have fought 41 species. I thought I understood war. Humans taught me I understood nothing. War is not just about strength. It is about will. Earth has shown more will than the entire council combined. You have earned respect. Use this information wisely. The stage was set for the final battle. Earth's fleet, battered but unbroken, prepared to defend their home one last time. The council hardliners advanced, determined to crush the human rebellion and restore order. And somewhere in between, the rest of the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which vision of the future would survive. The hardliner fleet arrived 6 months to the day after the first council ultimatum. 150 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect attack formation, their weapons already charging. At their head was Admiral Corvin, a council hardliner who believed the old ways were the only ways. There is the primitive planet, Corvin announced to his fleet. Today we restore order to the galaxy. All ships, advance. Target their orbital platforms first, then their fleet, then the planet itself, if necessary. But as the council fleet moved forward, something unexpected happened. 3 council ships at the rear of the formation suddenly changed course and broke away from the main fleet. What are they doing? Corvin demanded. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from those ships. They say they will not participate in this attack. They're declaring neutrality and withdrawing. Corvin's face twisted with rage. Traitors! Destroy them! But before he could give the order, 6 more ships broke formation and joined the first 3. The council fleet was tearing itself apart before the battle even began. On Earth, Captain Jin Lee watched the chaos with amazement. What's happening to them? Mutiny, Doctor, Rena Kang said, her eyes glued to the sensors. The crews are refusing to fight. Some of them are the species that declared neutrality. They're disobeying their orders. Dahan understood immediately. The council is breaking. Their own people don't believe in this war anymore. By the time the hardliner fleet reached Earth orbit, only 90 ships remained. The others had withdrawn, or were actively blocking their former comrades from advancing. 90 is still more than we have, Admiral Quan Seo pointed out. We have 53 operational ships. Then we make those 53 count, Jin Lee replied. The battle began with a fury that shook the space around Earth. Council ships fired massive energy beams that lit up the darkness. Earth ships, smaller and faster, wove between the attacks while returning fire with everything they had. Engineer He Choi's modified defensive platforms activated. Suddenly, Earth's ships were surrounded by shimmering energy shields projected from the planet below. Council weapons that should have destroyed human vessels in one shot, instead splashed harmlessly against the barriers. Impossible, Corvin screamed. How are they doing this? His tactical officer was frantically scanning. The energy is coming from their planet, sir. They've turned their entire planetary defense grid into a shield generator for their fleet. Pilot Tae-min led his squadron in close, using the confusion to target the council ship's weapon ports. His fighters were so small and quick that the large council vessels couldn't track them properly. One by one, Enemy guns went silent, as precise strikes disabled them. The tide of battle shifted. Earth ships that should have been destroyed kept fighting. Council ships that expected easy victories found themselves damaged and bleeding air. But the humans were taking losses too. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes. Good people died in the cold of space. Captain Jin Lee watched his fleet shrink, even as they fought harder than ever. Then, just when it seemed the battle might go on forever, something incredible happened. War Prime Thexion's fleet arrived. Every sensor on both sides screamed warnings as 50 council ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. But Thexion didn't attack Earth. Instead, his ships positioned themselves between Earth's fleet and the hardliner forces. Admiral Corvin. Thexion's voice boomed across all channels. This attack is unauthorized by the full council. I am ordering you to stand down immediately. Too live. You're a coward and a traitor, Thexion, Corvin shot back. These primitives have made you weak. No. Thexion replied calmly. They have made me wise. I have learned more from fighting humans than from 40 previous conquests. I will not allow you to destroy them for your pride. Corvin faced an impossible choice. He could fight Earth and Thexion simultaneously, which was suicide. Or he could retreat and admit defeat. He chose a third option. All ships, target Thexion's fleet. They are traitors to the Council. Destroy them. The hardliner ships opened fire on Thexion's forces. For a moment, Council fought Council, while Earth watched in shock. Then Daehan made a decision that changed everything. All ships, defend Thexion's fleet. Move to support them. Sir? Jin Lee asked, uncertain he heard correctly. They're protecting us. We protect them. That's what allies do. The Earth fleet surged forward, their shields still active, and positioned themselves alongside Thexion's ships. Human and Council vessels fought side by side for the first time in history. The battle was brief but brutal. Faced with combined forces and crews that were already demoralized by the fracturing of their fleet, the hardliners broke. Corvin's ship was disabled by concentrated fire from 3 human fighters and 2 Council cruisers. The remaining hardliner vessels surrendered or fled. In the aftermath, Thexion's ship and Jin Lee's ship floated next to each other in space. The 2 commanders spoke via video link. Why did you help us? Thexion asked. You helped us first, Jin Lee replied simply. And because this war should never have happened. We don't want to be your enemies. We just want to be free. Thexion was quiet for a moment. You are the most formidable species I have ever encountered. Not because of your weapons or ships, but because of your spirit. You refuse to give up. Ever. The galaxy needs that quality. The Council needs it. 3 days later, the formal Council session was held. But this time, it was different. The neutral species had demanded changes. The member species who had withdrawn from the war insisted on having their voices heard. And for the first time, Ambassador Na Song was invited to speak to the full assembly, not as a defendant, but as a representative. She stood before the gathered aliens, with young Park and Daehan flanking her. Behind them, holographic images of Earth filled the chamber. Members of the Council, she began. 6 months ago, you came to my world and demanded we submit or be destroyed. We chose neither. We chose to fight for our freedom. That fight has cost both sides dearly. Thousands are dead. Ships are destroyed. Resources are wasted. And for what? She paused, looking around the chamber. Because you feared we were too aggressive. Too dangerous. But look at your own history. Look at the species you've conquered and destroyed. If anyone has been too aggressive, it is you. There were angry murmurs, but Na Song continued. However, we do not come here seeking revenge or dominance. We come offering partnership. True partnership. Between equals. She pulled up data on screens around the chamber. In 6 months of war, humans have developed slip space drives that are faster than yours. We have created shield technology that surprised you. We have shown tactical creativity you didn't expect. Imagine what we could accomplish if we worked together instead of fighting each other. Dr. Rena Kang stepped forward. We are willing to share all our innovations freely with the Council. The slip space drives, the shield modifications, the cascade weapons technology for scientific purposes. Everything. In exchange, we ask for 3 things: recognition as a sovereign species, full voting rights in Council decisions, and the reformation of the Council as a true federation of equals. The chamber erupted in debate. Some Council members were furious at the suggestion that they change their ancient ways. Others saw the wisdom in what the humans proposed. Then Thexian stood. All eyes turned to the legendary warrior. I support Earth's proposal, he said simply. I have fought them. I have seen what they can do. But more importantly, I have seen what they choose not to do. They had weapons aimed at our home worlds. They could have destroyed billions. They chose restraint. They had opportunities to annihilate fleeing ships. They showed mercy. This is a species that understands the difference between strength and cruelty. The Council would benefit from their membership. The 3 neutral species immediately voiced their support. Then, one by one, others joined. The vote was called. It was not unanimous. Several species voted against the proposal. But the majority voted in favor. The Galactic Council officially became the Galactic Federation. Earth was admitted as a full member with all rights and privileges. And the Federation's charter was amended to include principles of equality, mutual respect, and the right of all species to self-determination. Ambassador Na Song was elected to the Federation's new Security Committee. Commander Daehan became military advisor to the Federation Defense Force. Dr. Daehan. Dr. Rena Kang began heading joint research projects with scientists from a dozen species. Thexian, who had never been defeated before losing to Earth, requested and received permission to serve as military liaison to Earth. He wanted to learn from the species that had accomplished the impossible. Engineer Hei Choi found herself swamped with requests from alien civilizations wanting to understand human technology. She started a teaching program, sharing knowledge freely. Captain Jin Lee was promoted to admiral and given command of the first joint human-alien fleet. Pilot Tae Min became an instructor, teaching Council pilots the aggressive maneuvers that had won battles. On Earth, civilian leader Su Han organized the first cultural exchange program. Aliens visited Earth to learn about human art, music, and history. Humans traveled to Council worlds to experience the wonders of galactic civilization. Young Park established the Federation Diplomatic Academy, training the next generation of ambassadors from all species to negotiate as equals. 6 months after the final battle, Daehan stood in the observation dome on the Federation's new joint space station. Earth hung in the view screen, beautiful and blue. Around him, human and alien workers collaborated on expanding the station. Thexian approached and stood beside him. I have been thinking, the alien warrior said. In 41 battles, I never lost until I fought humans. At first, I was ashamed, but now I understand. You did not defeat me. You taught me. There is a difference. Daehan smiled. What did we teach you? That the strongest species is not the one with the most weapons or the biggest fleet. It is the one that refuses to give up, that adapts and overcomes, that fights for what is right even when the odds are impossible. Thexian paused. The Council had forgotten that. We had become comfortable, stagnant. You reminded us what it means to truly live. We almost destroyed each other learning that lesson, Daehan pointed out. Yes, but we did not. We chose a different path. That is also important. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Earth turn slowly in space. The planet that had defied the galaxy and changed it forever. Humanity had reached for the stars and found not conquest, but community. Not domination, but partnership. They had fought when necessary and shown mercy when possible. They had been relentless in their defense of freedom, not just for themselves but for the principle itself. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly how it should be. Dahan looked at the stars beyond Earth and smiled. This was just the beginning. The universe was vast and full of wonders. And now, humanity would explore it, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals among the community of intelligent life. The relentless response had stunned the Galactic Council. But it had done something more important. It had shown the galaxy a better way forward. And Earth, the small blue planet that refused to kneel, had earned its place among the stars.